So we're living in the most amazing time you can imagine. I mean, yeah, I know we got problems. I get it. But I don't think our problems are nearly as bad as the problems that you would have had in 1793 or 1421 or, 5000 BC. You have all the world's information at your fingertips. I live in Chicago. I could be any city in the world in 24 hours. And most people are sleepwalking. They're just medicating themselves with electronics and porn and activity and arguing about politics or whatever. And most people aren't really accomplishing much of anything. And I've always been inspired by the first Renaissance, right? Somewhere around the 1500s. Like there's this explosion of art and science and literature and music and, you can go to Europe and you can see all that stuff. It's like, well, I think we need another one, but it starts with great individuals. So I'm really quite serious about it. And like when I was in college, somewhere I picked up that Isaac Newton, I asked myself, why did this guy have time to roll balls down inclined planes and think about how it all works? And, why did the guy have time to ask questions like, why did that apple fall out of the tree? And does the apple have something to do with, stars and planets orbiting? And it did. It had everything to do. And he made that connection. And I thought, well, I think the reason that he was able to do that was because he was from a wealthy family and he wasn't staring at the back end of a mule in a field somewhere plowing. He had the luxury of being able to do something different. I thought, well, that's what I want to do. I want to explore the world. I want to figure out things that nobody has ever figured out. And this was one of the reasons I became an entrepreneur in the first place. It was, I want to wake up in the morning and do what I think is important, not what some guy thinks is important so that I can keep my insurance. Like that would be the closest thing to hell I could imagine, is being stuck in a world where like I can't express my creativity. I can't make my contribution because I'm just punching a clock. This is like the most common problem in the world. It's been around for a really long time. I was in Prague at the Kafka Museum. Like Franz Kafka is this famous author from the Czech Republic, and went through the museum. And one of the themes in the museum was that, he really wanted to be a writer and do all this kind of stuff, but he was employed as an attorney, and like he had to work for some mindless bureaucracy, just turning the crank, and like how soul-sucking all of that was. And well, the fact is the world is constituted in such a way that most people are going to have to fight that battle. Like you're going to have to figure out how to pay the bills and how to buy the diapers and how to put groceries on the table, in spite of the fact that you're a human being, you're a spiritual creature, you're an artist, you're a creator, you're inner entrepreneur. Like somehow or another, like you're going to have to figure it out. Well, I think the great thing about the 21st century is it's more feasible to actually do that now than ever before. I mean, I've got a friend named Peter Jacobson, and he made a comment. My dad got a job as an engineer so that his children could get a job as an artist. Like, being the engineer wasn't the most exciting thing in the world, but at least, his kids could maybe do what they want to do. The previous generation created a world where that's possible, right? So how come so many people are just, have their heads stuffed in a cloud and, they're just arguing with people on social media instead of actually doing something useful in the world? Well, I think a lot of times they don't know how to do it. The world has fundamentally changed in the last 30 years, and the world has gone from high friction to low friction. But that creates a different kind of friction. Okay, so, you have the internet, you have information being, going around the world. Like you go to Walmart and you buy a bar of soap, and the soap gets scanned on the barcode reader, and like, okay, and that's when Procter and Gamble gets paid, and that's when the shipping, it's like it goes all the way back through the supply chain, right? It's amazing, and so that means all kinds of things can happen instantaneously, but it creates another problem, which is the only real progress is the conceptual breakthroughs, because pushing harder or punching the clock longer doesn't really accomplish anything. This is why there's this spread between, the haves and the have-nots is getting greater. It's why the middle is falling out. It's because most activity is just $10 or $20 an hour work. Okay, if you're making $20 an hour, you might barely survive in the world, but you're not getting ahead and you're not experiencing any personal freedom, okay? And our parents' generation only knew how to do like the $20 an hour work. That's not going to get you anywhere. You have to create something new or simplify something that used to be complex or reconceptualize something, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Otherwise, you're just going to be just like everybody else. And anybody who sells on the internet understands this, okay? If you own a Mexican restaurant, all you have to do is be the best Mexican restaurant in Southwest Little Rock, Arkansas, and you'll make a living. But if you have a website, you can't just like have a website that sells cell phone chargers, because Amazon will sell it, right? You have to make a unique contribution. And so there's this, the world desperately wants new things. There are trillions of dollars of investment money on the sidelines waiting for people who show up with new things where all we need to do is add some money and this thing's going to go supernova. But the educational systems and the habits and the culture does not cultivate that. It cultivates going to school, sitting at your desk, reading, writing, arithmetic, recess, and it's not enough. And so people come into the entrepreneur world ill-prepared, and what they want, well, give me a formula. Well, if there's a formula you need, it's a formula for creating formulas. It's not a formula just for making cell phone chargers, because you can look that up anywhere. Like, the world is totally different than it used to be. And I don't think people quite grasp the gravity of that. Well, it does start with you, right? So it doesn't start with us fixing the rest of the world or, imposing whatever ideology, okay? It starts with getting yourself straight first.